Hello, welcome back to another FPL video. I hope everyone is doing well. We're currently in the middle of game week 28. We've got the blank game week 29 right around the corner. With only 8 teams playing, we're going to be looking at the essential picks for that game week, differentiating between those who could be a good one game week punt on, say, a free hit, and those who are kind of good picks for the blank game week 29 and good kind of longer term picks as well to be transferring into your teams. If you are new around here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for daily FPL content. Hit that like button if you do enjoy the video, and let's get straight on into this one. So the first team we are looking at today is Leeds, who play against Fulham in their blank game week. Fulham have been a pretty tough side to beat of late, defensively quite good. And in terms of a void for Leeds, I've basically gone for most of their defenders. So Ayling, the likes of Cooper. You could, if you want, go for someone like Alioski on, say, a free hit, a 1 week punt. But in terms of long-term picks, the likes of Ayling and Cooper are definite no's for me. You've got Click there as well, who's a massive rotation risk in that side. He was taking penalties earlier on in the season, but right now it doesn't look so good. The likes of Tyler Roberts, the likes of Harrison, both could be okay punts for a free hit. But in terms of long-term picks and the other picks that you can have in this lead side, just aren't as good. And in terms of the solid picks, we move straight on into them with Rafinha being our first one. He's been playing really well of late. How he's not scored in the last 2 games, I do not know. Against West Ham and against Chelsea, he should have scored goals in both, but the goals are definitely coming against Fulham. He could well go and score. Dallas has been a really good FPL asset so far this season. He's been scoring goals, he's been getting assists, and Leeds now and again have been keeping a clean sheet, and his haul potential is absolutely unbelievable, and he's not a player that I personally would be wanting to go without in this blank game. We've got Meslier there as well, and it's kind of one of them where if they do keep a clean sheet, Meslier will be getting on the save points and most likely the bonus points, as we saw him pick up an 11-pointer against Chelsea. What a performance that he had, the amount of saves he was making, and fair play to him. Then we move on to the essentials bracket, and there's only really one man to be putting in here, and that is Patrick Bamford. I think he will be essential, but that does depend on whether he plays. He's picked up a knock, and I do think that he will play because it did just seem like a bit of a dead leg. He had to come off because of it, so it can't have been great, and that'll definitely be one to kind of look out for. If Bielsa comes out and says that he's good to go, I think that he is essential. If he's not, then potentially there are other strikers who we will come on to later on in the video. But yeah, with Bamford's ownership being so high, if he does play and he does do well, your rank is definitely going to drop. So as I say, if he is available to play, I think he is essential. Then the next team we're looking at is Fulham. In terms of a void for Fulham, we've got the likes of Mitrovic, we've got the likes of Cavaliera, and we've got the likes of Deco. You don't really know with these guys whether they are going to be playing week in, week out. We've got almost a bit of a Pep-style rotation coming in from Scotty Parker. And to be fair, I think that most of the kind of attacking assets for Fulham aren't too great. The likes of Loftus-Cheek and the players we have here aren't really too great. You can maybe go for a couple of one-game punts. But in terms of the solid picks, firstly, we have Ola Aina. And this is kind of just basically a spot that represents the majority of the Fulham defenders. The likes of Tete, the likes of Anderson, the likes of Tosin. They've all been playing very well of late. And yes, they just lost 3 to Manchester City, but that was very well expected, and they actually played a very good first half. And just, once they lose that first goal, it's always going to kind of just crumble down a little bit. But I do think that Fulham defensively have been pretty solid, although I would only be going for one Fulham defender. You could go for Areola as well in goal. He picks up plenty of save points and bonus points as well, so I think that he could be a very solid option. Then we do have a Fulham attacker here, and that was Magic. He did get benched in the Manchester City game, so that could maybe be something to look out for. I do personally think that was only because Scott Parker was trying to kind of nullify Manchester City and have more defensively minded players than attacking minded players. I do think against Leeds, Magic will play and does have the potential to do something. Lookman as well is quite a popular player from what I've been seeing. I don't think he's that great of an asset, but if you do maybe want like a one game week punt in terms of a free hit team, Lookman could be one to go for. Magic could also be one to go for as well. In terms of goalkeepers, I think that Areola stands quite a good chance in this game, or a decent chance of keeping a clean sheet, or if he does keep a clean sheet, he'll get plenty of bonus points, is the way to put it. In terms of essentials, I don't really think that there are any Fulham players who can be considered essential. The next team we move on to is Spurs, who play against Aston Villa. In terms of avoid for Spurs, I think most of their backline for me is an avoid. I put Dyer and Doherty in here just because we don't really know whether they're going to play. There are very high rotation risks. Alderweireld and Sanchez, you can maybe go for on a one-game week punt, although I do think there are other defenders that we've talked about and that we are coming on to talk about who could do a better job. We've got Ndombele in there, who looks like a really, really good player for Spurs. However, he's not really be getting too much attacking output, so I do think it is just an avoid for him. In terms of solid picks for Spurs, I think that the Lloris and Reguilon for me are more just solid picks in terms of free hit. In terms of Lloris, he's a very expensive goalkeeper. Long term, he looks okay, but doesn't offer potentially as much as the likes of, say, a Martinez, a Pope, even one of the cheaper keepers like a Meslier or Areola. He just doesn't get those save points and bonus points that the other goalkeepers have. Reguilon is a very high rotation risk. However, if he does play this blank game week, definitely for a free hit, he could be a very good pick, but long term I don't think he looks that great. Gareth Bale is seemingly coming back to form, and on a free hit or long term could actually be a pretty decent option. He gives you that X factor, he gives you that potential 2-haul. I would kind of maybe ward off going for the triple up on the Spurs attack, but if you want Gareth Bale in the team, I do think he looks like a solid asset. In terms of essential for Spurs, I've got Harry Kane and Son. If I was going to kind of have to rate the two, I'd say that Harry Kane is the most definite essential player for me. Obviously, if he is fit and ready to go, which hopefully he will be. Son for me, it's just a big comparison between Son and Bale. I think just because we know Son is going to play week in, week out, and has been doing it all season, he has to be the kind of other essential spot for me. I've personally got the double up of Kane and Son. I'd say if you're making the transfer for longer term, I would personally go for Son, but on a free hit, Bale on any given game week can haul massively, but to be fair, so can Son. Next team we move on to is Aston Villa, who play against Spurs, who we've just covered. So in terms of avoid, firstly there, we've got Ross Barkley. Since Jack Grealish has been injured, and just kind of generally, he's not been playing as well. He's been a bit of a rotation risk, and he's not really been getting any kind of attack and return, so he's a definite avoid for me. I'd also put the likes of Bertrand Traore, El Ghazi, Trezeguet, just most of the kind of attacking midfield options for Aston Villa, apart from Jack Grealish, who may well be coming back, for me would be an avoid. The next players we've got on there are Tyrone Mings and Konsa. Now, this is more because I think that there is a better defensive options than these two. This is not to say that on their day, Mings or Konsa cannot, get points. Obviously, if they get a clean sheet, they're going to get those points, and Konsa has been known to score a goal. But I do think there is a better defensive asset, and that for me is Target. I'll put here in the solid picks. I just think with the attacking potential that Target does have, and the kind of more likelihood of him getting bonus points, means that he is a better option. So you would kind of be going for Target rather than going for Mings or Konsa. And then I've got Watkins in there as well. And these two are kind of just in there because I feel like most people will have them. I wouldn't be bringing them in on a free hit, and I wouldn't necessarily be transferring them in. Although the likes of Watkins and Target, they do play in the blank game week 29, which is obviously what I'm doing in this video. And then they have a decent game week 30, and they also play in the blank game week 33 against West Brom. So it could be kind of nice to maybe have players kind of in the back of your head around for that blank game week as well. But if you wanted to go for Aston Villa assets, I think Target and Watkins would be the guys for me. Now, in terms of essential, we've got Martinez in there. Now, I don't necessarily think that Martinez is 100% definite essential for this game week. If I was free hitting, I wouldn't be going for Martinez, but I think most people will be playing Martinez this week, and he's kind of in there just to kind of say, if you've got him, you definitely don't need to be transferring him out to bring in a goalkeeper that has a better fixture. But as I say, on a free hit, there are definitely other goalkeepers that you can go for. Now, the next team we are looking at is Brighton. Now, in terms of a void for Brighton, we've got Lallana, we've got Mapai, and we've got Trossard. Basically, the attacking asset for Brighton. Now, they do play against Newcastle, so this is not to say on this given game that they can't do anything. Their expected goals is very, very high. They've just not been putting the ball in the back of the net. If I was free hitting, I would potentially actually be maybe looking at these guys, especially Mapai. So maybe on a free hit, you could go for a punt on a Brighton attacker. But longer term, I definitely would not be bringing a Brighton attacker in. In terms of solid picks for Brighton, for me, Lewis Dunk would definitely be on the lower side in terms of transferring him in to keep him, just because he is more expensive than the likes of Veltman, than the likes of Burn, who can kind of fill that fodder spot whereby it doesn't really matter if you have to bench them week in, week out. For me, Lewis Dunk maybe just takes up a little bit too much money, but a lot of people do have a lot of money in the bank, so if you can afford Dunk, definitely not a bad one to go for. Can offer some attacking returns and bonus points when they do keep a clean sheet. Veltman, however, has been very, very good in terms of attacking returns. We could see Lamptey come back at some point, but that is very much just speculation. So out of the two, I do actually think that I'd be going for Veltman over Lewis Dunk, and we also have Sanchez there as well, coming in at 4.5 million. He offers really good value as a keeper, loves to get a save point, can even get on the bonus points as well, so I do think that he is a good option. In terms of central for Brighton, I've just put a defender. I do think a lot of people this week will be going for at least one Brighton defender, so your rank may drop if you don't have a Brighton defender. That's not to say that, you know, you have to go and get a Brighton defender in. I'm just saying that, yeah, I think overall a lot of people are going to own a Brighton defender. Now, the next team we're looking at is West Ham, who do play against Arsenal in the blank game week. In terms of a void for West Ham, I've got Fornals and Ben Rama in there. On their day, they can both be very, very good attackers, but as FPL managers, we like to see the attackers get some kind of attacking returns, or at least get some kind of consistent attacking returns. So I just don't think Fornals and Ben Rama are really the players you should be targeting. You may be surprised to see Souček on the end there, but I think the Souček's golden days have kind of come to an end this season. He had a really good start up to the midway point, then has kind of slowed down a little, and I do think that there are other kind of midfield or attacking options for West Ham that you can go for over Souček. In terms of the solid picks for West Ham, we've got Antonio in there, who's just, you know, when he's not injured, and that is a big thing, when he's not injured, loves to score a goal, loves to get on the bonus point, has been a really kind of key part of that West Ham side so far this season, and they're really, really trying to push for that kind of Champions League spot as well. So I think it's a good idea to own West Ham players. We've got Jesse Lingard in there as well, and in the 6 games that Jesse Lingard has played for West Ham, he's only blanked once, or he's only not got an attacking return once. So yeah, he's only blanked once, and I think he's a really, really good asset. Some people may have a bit of a bias for his time from his time at Manchester United, you know, not think he's necessarily a good player, but I think he's a really, really good asset for this game week and beyond. Then we've got Soufal there, then we've got Soufal on the end there as well, and he basically takes up the spot of the defenders. You know, you've got the likes of Diop, you've got the likes of Dawson. Diop coming at 4.3 million could offer really good value. Dawson loves a goal. Soufal can get on the bonus points and can get on some kind of attacking returns, but the main man, I think the man who's really deserved the essential spot so far this season, is Aaron Cresswell, the highest scoring FPL defender with 7 assists. He's been smashing the attacking returns from corners and set pieces specifically, and yeah, he's really, really deserving of that essential spot. Now, it isn't the easiest fixture against Arsenal, but even if they do concede, which to be fair to them, West Ham have been a pretty solid defensive side so far this season, if they do concede, he can always go and get himself an attacking asset, and so I do think that Cresswell is a very good option for this blank game week and for the future as well. Then the next thing we move on to is Arsenal, who play against West Ham, who we have just mentioned. In terms of a void for Arsenal, we've got Odegaard, we've got Lacazette, and we've got Holding. For Holding, he's kind of been in and out of favour very much with this season for Arteta. He played him quite a bit at the start, or kind of during the middle period of the season. Right now, he seems to be a little bit out of favour. Since Gabriel's come back from injury and kind of gone through his various suspensions so far this season, he's very much got into that Arsenal side. The likes of David Luiz, the likes of Pablo Mari are all scrapping for that defensive spot. So I think Holding for me is an avoid, just because we don't know whether he's going to play. The same with Lacazette, really. He could be a decent kind of 1 week punt option if you think that he's going to play this week. However, as a long-term pick, we don't know whether he's going to play week in, week out. So Lacazette is an avoid. Odegaard looks like a really, really good player for Arsenal. Scored a great goal in the Europa League, and had people ask me, should I be bringing in Odegaard? Just for me, we haven't really seen him get many attacking returns in the Premier League. So for now, it's an avoid, but in the future, it could become a solid pick. But yeah, Odegaard for now is an avoid. In terms of the solid picks for Arsenal, you've got the likes of Saka coming up 5.3 million. I think he's not only a good pick, potentially potentially for a free hit, but long term he looks really, really good. Between 31 and 35, Arsenal have unbelievable fixtures, and yes, Saka could get rotated a little bit, but at 5.3 million, if he does get benched, it's not the end of the world. We've got Kieran Tierney there as well, one of the most attacking fullbacks in the league. I think Arsenal, to be fair, have become a lot more solid at the back, and with the attacking potential that Tierney does provide, he could well be a very good option. We've got Aubameyang there as well, and in terms of long-term picks with Aubameyang, I was really thinking about going for Aubameyang and getting him in, but because we have seen some rotation with the Europa League as a long-term pick, I don't necessarily like it because I would be captaining him in the long term, and if he gets rotated, that would just be rather gutting. But for this single game week, I do think on a free hit, Aubameyang could be a really, really good differential to own. In terms of essential for Arsenal, haven't really put anyone in here as this season. They're having quite an up and down season, and there's just no one that really stands out as an essential asset. Now, the final team we are looking at is Newcastle. In terms of a void for Newcastle, we've got Clark, we've got Jonathan, and we have got Fraser. I think most of the Newcastle team, to be honest with you, is an avoid, especially as long-term picks. Most of the Newcastle guys are avoids. In terms of the solid picks, there are a couple of players who I can maybe pick out of there. Wilson is in there because I think he is due to be back from injury, maybe for this game. So wait and see with Wilson. He could be a decent pick for this game week. On a free hit, if he is due to come back, could be an unbelievable option. Same with Dubravka. I think more for a free hit, I'd be bringing him in. Jamal Lewis could actually be a decent long-term pick, coming at 4.2 million. As with the likes of Burn and as with the likes of Veltman, they can very much pick up that fodder spot and have a decent game with 29. Jamal Lascelles as well did go and grab a goal against Aston Villa and does also come in at 4.2 million, so he could be one to consider as well. In terms of essential assets for Newcastle, I'd be kidding you if I tried to blag that any of the Newcastle assets are essential. As I say, they could have one or two decent free hit options, and Jamal Lewis is probably the only one I'd be bringing in as a kind of long-term pick solely because he is very cheap and has an okay fixture against Brighton. I hope you have enjoyed this quick little essentials video ahead of game week 29. There's a lot to kind of pick out with all these games. A lot of people are going to be free hitting, so I've kind of tried to differentiate the free hit players that you should go for and those who are kind of good maybe for this game week and good longer term picks as well. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. Let me know down in the comments any transfers you're thinking of making or whether you're thinking of hitting that free hit button. Hit the subscribe button for daily FPL content, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.